Nartey George. Sam George is here. Good morning to you.
Morning, Roland. Very well.
You're well.
Well. I hope you're doing well too.
Yeah. I see that you've been very busy crisscrossing and going to conferences and looking at various issues. So you've been quite busy on the policy front. How's it been so far?
For God and country.
For God and country.
The people of Ghana gave His Excellency a mandate, and His Excellency has asked some of us to assist, and so we can only commit ourselves. I say His Excellency is the architect. The architect has drawn the master plan, and then he has 4 men. And then the 4 men are the ministers. So we are the ones mixing the concrete and the pongpo. Well, yeah,
we'll see how that goes. But importantly, you're here because of your foundation. But we decided to also have a side conversation on so far what the policy issues are, because we had been privileged to have you in the early part of your administration. Yeah. How has it been going, particularly for some of the fights you decided to take on so far? DSTV. Okay, I enjoy the data. So that's a 216 for 399. But how's it been going so far with the players, the regulator?
I think it's been a very good, 10, 11 months since I took office. I was sworn in on the 7th of February, exactly a month after His Excellency was sworn in. And so we have set ourselves to work. There's been a lot of structural changes that have happened at the ministry. We've done a lot of consumer-facing interventions as well. I believe that the ministry is one ministry where our actions are policy-driven, but human-centered. And so we've looked at those things very well. And that's why one of the first things we did was to discuss the issue on data and the prices on data. I mean, for big data consumers, I'm sure, like you said, a lot of people have benefited from it from 1st of July when the big data bundle reprieve, the 399, 400 CDs on the 3 networks came out. People have benefited from it. People who were buying data 2-3 times in a month now buy, and you were paying 350 and you get about 9, you get about 90 gig or 92 gig 92 gig. Now they pay 399, and some of them have used that data. I've seen people have tagged me on social media with their balances. After 2 months they still have data that they're using. But we're not resting, because I keep saying, and that's one conversation we've had with the regulator, the NCA, that from next year we're going to be moving a lot more away from quality of service to quality of experience as one of the key KPIs. That's going to be the main KPI benchmark at the regulator when it comes to, because it's one thing making sure people have the service. So yes, you have the data. Now, the experience of using that data becomes the next challenge for us. How do we ensure that your videos do not buffer? There's very little latency, and that the telcos are investing in the quality of experience for their people. I keep saying this. I believe that as minister, my core mandate is to serve the Ghanaian people in a way that protects investment of investors, but ensures that the Ghanaian people are not shortchanged in any way. And so for me, my priority is the Ghanaian people. It's interesting that, well, when you fight at times for Ghanaians, some Ghanaians, not all, some small section of Ghanaians will at times turn around and for whatever partisan coloration try and paint a picture out of it. But I keep saying, some of the people who attack us on all of these things, they are still buying the 399 and enjoying it too. In fact, the data they're using to attack us is the one that we've worked on to make cheaper for them. But that's part of public service. On the DSTV thing as well, I mean, people can choose to pass whatever comments they want about it. The sweetness of the pudding is in the eating of the pudding.
We'll come to the DSTV, but particularly on the subject of the data, that's where the world is moving to. Indeed, in your first interaction, you alluded to that being a focus of your ministry, because that's the transition. It looks like what the industry is. Now people, even in Ghana, do more WhatsApp calls or even Telegram calls, and you keep wondering whether they traveled or they didn't even travel out of town. Yeah. Some even use it to disguise. I mean, just to water down that part of the conversation. How stringent is the ministry on the policy side going to ensure that the regulator holds strongly the service operators or those who are offering those services to consumers to provide the quality?
Well, the ministry is giving policy direction. The regulator started action on that. The ministry made additional spectrum resources available very early in the term. We went to cabinet approved for us to make spectrum available to the players to ensure that they had more resources. The only thing is that with spectrum, the impact is not felt immediately. You have a 3 to 6 months window for the impact to begin to be felt, as the telcos need to then improve equipment as well and then do the configurations and deployments. And so we've given them up to end of year, and we've said, I've announced that publicly, that the regulator is going to become more stringent when it comes to quality of service KPIs and quality of experience KPIs from the first quarter of next year. We're having conversations. I know that the regulator is solidly on their job, the NCA. They're doing a lot of work with the telcos and the Chamber of Telecoms to ensure that the data experience, because the truth of the matter is in the industry today, a lot more traffic is on data. Voice calls, revenues and traffic are dropping, and data traffic is increasing. And so we're looking at that area and looking at even the possibilities of having some MVNOs who will just come and do specific data offerings. There are some conversations we're having around fiber to home as well.
Fiber to home? Fiber to home.
To improve. Look, you can't really have a proper national data experience if you don't have fiber. I mean, the more fiber you have buried in the ground and connecting homes and businesses, the better the experience across the whole country. If you had reliable high-speed fiber, for example, on the TV3 campus, I'm sure between TV3 and Onua, you've got, give or take, between 50 to 100 people working here. If everybody got in here and then depended on a fiber connection to this campus as your data source, it means that whilst you're all here, all of you are not going to be relying on the cell sites for mobile data. You're going to be relying on fiber. It then means that there's less traffic on the cell sites. It means those who are using the mobile experience, because they are actually mobile, will have better experience in this catchment area. So the more fiber we have deployed to homes, and so it's a policy conversation we're having, and it's something that we're looking to push, where we have reliable high-speed fiber. There are new players who we're having conversations with, will crystallize hopefully in the first part of next year, early part of next year, to have them deploy fiber over our aerial infrastructure, the power lines. How do we get aerial fiber, not just terrestrial fiber, aerial fiber carried across? We're also having conversations. I was in Burkina Faso recently to sign a roaming agreement with Burkina Faso, and part of the conversation we're having under the Smart Africa initiative is how Ghana, Burkina Faso, Niger, Mali, we could come together and buy bulk data. If you buy, because see, the problem now is if your demand is high, you can negotiate lower bulk prices for bandwidth. The demand in Ghana is very low. You know, for all the complaints and all the concerns that are raised, when you look at the quantity of data, in fact, what Equiano alone brings that we can bring into Ghana, even though Equiano doesn't land here in Ghana because the previous administration messed that up, and Equiano had to land in Togo, through C-Squared, we still have capacity coming into the country. But what Equiano has, Ghana is not even able to take 1%.
So we're not off-taking.
Not even 1%.
Because the market is not here.
And so when you're not buying bulk, your price point is higher. And so what we're trying to do now is to say that, look, the landlocked countries who don't have the value of Equiano, of high-speed connectivity, and not just Equiano, to Africa and Main One and Glow One and all the other ones, that Ace and all that are here, how do we do a bulk purchase agreement? And then through our aerial fiber connections, the power cables that go there, we'll be able to transport bundles, bandwidth to them, and then be able to have the economies of scale, because those countries have come together to buy. So those are some of the conversations we're having under the regulator. But I'm pretty confident that next year we should have better quality of service and experience when it comes to the data experience in the country.
Well, when you started your public tango with the DSTV, you know, of course, they are operated by MultiChoice right here. The conversation was that you were going to reduce prices. Now, of course, consumers have more channels on their bouquets for, is it almost relatively the same price? Did you get it mixed up, or is just that when you went into the discussions through your regulator, then you reached those agreements with the shareholders, Canal Plus?
So you see, this is where the interesting thing is. You had the same Ghanaians, especially, and I followed a lot of the conversation. The very same people who are saying, "Oh, he didn't achieve what he set out to achieve," were the same people who, at the beginning of the conversation, said, "Oh, but why is he engaging a private company? They should be able to determine their own prices. He shouldn't be determining what the pricing is. He should actually sit with them and reach a compromise." Look, and I was always clear. I didn't just wake up and attack MultiChoice or DSTV. We had several meetings that was not known to the public. There were several conversations. It was only when...
On the subject of price?
Yes. It was only when we couldn't make any headway that I issued a public policy directive to the regulator to say that, look, if they did not comply, we will take action. That's the only time it came into the public. But before that, we had several conversations privately. For me, today, like I said earlier on, the sweetness of the pudding is in the eating of it. I keep saying that many of the people who make the most noise, and I use that word very advisably, noise, about, oh, Sam George didn't achieve anything on DSTV. They don't even have smart TVs. So they don't understand the experience. Because you see, when you use the service, you would realize whether there's been a price reduction or not. Because, you know, and that's one question I've always asked. Why do we buy bouquets? You see, when you're dealing with free-to-air like TV3, it's different from when you're doing a bouquet offering. When you do bouquet offerings, you're not just buying access, you're buying content, specific content. So if I buy a particular bouquet because I want to watch a particular kind of content, Formula One, I want to watch Champions League, Premier League, there's a specific bouquet for that, and that's what I buy. If today I am paying less for that same bouquet, if I used to pay 865 Ghana cedis, and now I'm paying, what, 590 or something? Am I paying more? Am I paying less? The question, like I keep saying, is in the, and I've seen several people.
So you're saying that it's the people's interpretation about the offerings for the price they are paying for the service.
I'm saying that.
Their interpretation.
I'm saying that if you are a real DSTV consumer,
you know that you are getting more for.
You're
less.
getting more for less.
Okay.
People who use the service, who have used the service since when did we do this? I think it was October.
October, yeah. It
Since
from
October.
July, I think.
Yeah, no, I mean the offerings I think came into effect I think in October. Since October, everyone who uses DSTV would know whether they are paying more or paying less now under the Mahama administration than previously.
Per the channels that they have.
Per the bouquet offering that they were on. Okay. And for those who say that it's a DSTV promotion and that it's for 3 months, 1st of January, when they renew their subscription, I would love to see the new excuse they will give. Because if they say it's 3 months, 3 months is October, November, December. It means that in January, the prices should change. If the prices do not change, I will expect them to do the honorable thing and come and admit that this is not a promotion. This is a policy achievement that we have achieved for the Ghanaian people. It's not about, look, when you go and buy your DSTV subscription today, they don't ask you for your party affiliation. No? So whether you are NDC or MPP, you are enjoying it. This thing is a Ghanaian thing we did. And the point for me is people must appreciate. I understand that people are not used to having their public elected officials fight for them. People are used to politicians fighting for themselves. And so it's a bit of a misnomer and people are trying to get used to, what's this really about? But look, this is what President Mahama gave us as a mandate. Fight for the Ghanaian people. And that's what we're doing.
This morning, we used you as a test case. So we have a segment called the This Morning segment. So we asked our viewers what they would want you to tackle this morning by way of questions.
Okay.
And across the spectrum, many people outside major capitals are raising concerns about mobile service telephony reception, very poor reception and all that. It's a big responsibility on the part of the MNOs to be able to do that.
Yes.
And it looks like we're slugging on that aspect. Is that concern for you as a minister and then the ministry?
Absolutely. And you know, where we realize it's not just outside even the main cities, even in Accra, what we realize is on the peripheries of our cities, most of the infrastructure is centralized because that's where the cities used to be. And over the last 10 years, you've realized that cities have expanded. So you go to a place like beyond Pokwase, towards the eastern corridor, that's Ningo Pram Pram of Greater Accra, and areas that people didn't used to live in. Now you have huge communities there, but infrastructure has not grown with it. And so we've asked the regulator has asked the telecom companies to bring us their investment plans for expansion. Because as the population grows, in areas where they already had infrastructure, population density has thickened. And once population density thickens, you need to improve service and equipment offerings in there to be able to give the kind of experience that people are getting. And as the population also expands outside of the concentrated, dense population areas, and you now begin to have farmlands in a part of the farmlands in Greater Accra that are now becoming estates, you now have to begin to have an investment plan. And especially with the SMP in the market. There's an SMP in the market. A lot of the country, 74% of the country is on their network. They need to show us specific plans. And so the regulator is on the beat with that. The regulator is pushing that.
How cooperative have we had the companies?
Well, I would say that so far, from what I have as minister, the regulator has a very cordial working relationship. I think they meet twice every month with the telcos to have that kind of meeting, that kind of engagement on what the plans are and where they are going. In fact, at a point in time, the CEO said I should give them an office in the ministry building because I was meeting them literally every week. To just understand where we're going. But I'm confident that now that the regulator has his board in place, the regulator is fully functional now, everything is going to crystallize and get better. But we are focused on ensuring that quality of experience and quality of service improves by way of investments in the network.
The concern for many stakeholders is that you're very soft, and very lenient with the non-monopoly or SMP.
So you see, it's a chicken and egg situation. You have the former minister, my predecessor, believe that price control for the SMP was the best way to go about it.
And we're talking SMP so that people
MTN, significant market player.
Yeah.
And so she said to them, increase your prices. And so MTN was mandated to increase their prices under the previous administration. Reduce the amount of data you give for the same price. And so they dropped their data offerings. But you see, that's one side of the SMP toolkit coin. If you don't have the other players upping their game and making the right kind of investments simultaneously, like Telecel and AT, to ensure that they're giving similar high-quality offerings for people to then say, because it's more expensive on MTN, I will move to another network. People are forced to stay. I'm an MTN user. When she increased the prices, I looked at the offerings on the other networks. It didn't match what I was getting. So I was forced to stay. Being forced to stay meant that, yes, she appeared tough on the SMP, but what has happened? It's the Ghanaian consumer who ended up paying the price. So yes, today, the same way I asked them to do 399 for 216 or 214 gig, and 74% of our telecom market has the benefit of that. It's the same way if I were to slap down very hard without making sure that there's critical investment by the other players to give alternatives. What's going to happen? The same Ghanaian people who say that you are soft will come and complain that now you are having to pay more. So it's a very delicate issue that has happened because of years of systemic failure. You don't expect the Mahama administration and Sam George as minister in 10 months to fix almost 10 years of systemic failure. For 10 years, we've sat down. Look, and let's not get this twisted. When the minister declared MTN and SMP, MTN had only about 58 or 59% of the market share. Under SMP, they grew to 74. because it wasn't applied well.
You mean following that narrative?
Yes.
Okay.
It wasn't applied well.
But at the end of the day, we need to provide alternatives, as you've indicated, for the consumer.
And so that's why, for example, with some of the other players, when we gave spectrum allocations, we said to MTN, you pay in one bullet payment. For the other players, we said, look, we don't want you to pay in one bullet payment. We're going to structure this over the duration of the spectrum license so that it frees up enough money for you to invest in your network. So there are multiple tools that we would apply here. And so it's not as though we're being soft on them, but we're minded about the ripple effect on the Ghanaian consumer. So we won't be reckless, we will be measured. Okay. So what you see as not being soft is a measured approach, because the reckless approach of the past worsened the situation. So 10 years of systemic failure cannot be fixed in 10 months.
You went about Airtel Tigo. Your predecessor sold it for $1. You said that it was not a deal worthwhile, but we need to do proper re-engineering. Where are we at?
Well, I've gone to cabinet. We've gotten a transaction advisor appointed. Look, the facts are simple, and my position as minister is simple. You have a company that my predecessor said she bought for $1. She bought a company for $1, but the company has debt of over $250 million. So if you use $1 to go and buy a car of $250 million, where's the wisdom in that? And as minister, I believe that, look, and let's not forget, this debt that she has bought was loans that were taken by private companies.
The liabilities are
over $250 million by private companies. Bharti Airtel is a private company. If they went and took loans from banks and owed their service providers, Millicom, private company, took loans from banks, owed their service providers, then the minister wakes up one day and says, oh, I'm taking all of this private company loan and putting on the Ghanaian taxpayer, which is where we sit now. And because she's done that in the name of the government of Ghana, and government is a continuum, now that debt sits on our books. Now she sets up a new vehicle called PPL Net in November 2024. PPL had only assets, no debts, zero debt, assets. As we speak now, PPL is in debt of over $15 million, making losses of over 22 million Ghana cedis every month. As minister, I think it will be reckless for me to just jump in there and put more taxpayers' money. And so my position is simple, and I've sent it to cabinet for approval. I'm waiting for cabinet to look at it. My position is very clear. Before you invest in anything, you must do an audit of it. The very people who run Airtel to the ground, run Millicom to the ground, are sitting in management at AT today and have run it to the ground. This new government must not put fresh money without auditing what the management of that company has done. It will be a disservice of the Mahama administration to take any further taxpayers' money and invest in a company that's been mismanaged in that manner. We must do an audit. The finance minister, when the finance minister took over office, there were several debts across the government spectrum, roads and all of that. My ministry, agri, everything. What did he do? He appointed international audit firms, Ernst & Young, KPMG and Co., to go and audit and bring him a report. Is that not what he did? On the basis of the report, he found out what was fluff and what was substance.
What's cabinet telling you?
No, it's before cabinet. Okay. So, I mean, once cabinet... I've sent the memo to cabinet. Cabinet will consider it, and once cabinet considers it and gives us directive, we'll make that public. Okay. So I mean, it's for cabinet. So my point is, let us run, and our position as a ministry is let's audit, not just Airtel Tigo. I believe that we must audit all of government's holdings in the telecom sector. So government currently owns Airtel Tigo 100%. Let's audit it. Let's not put a dime of taxpayers' money. It will be reckless to put taxpayers' money in a company that is making such losses without understanding what the systemic problems are. As minister, I won't oversee that. I won't be part to that. And so let's audit it. Government holds 30% in Telecel. Let's audit Telecel as well. Let's have a full understanding of what government's interest in the telecom sector is. And then as a country and as cabinet, we can then take a decision that we want to take this path, we want to invest this money.
Which timelines are you looking at, Sam George?
Well, I'm hoping the cabinet will review this before end of year, and then we can move on it.
I see. It's quite an interesting hurdle you have to cross, because at the end of the day, you want to restructure, also want to.
Yes, but I don't want to run solo as minister. Yes. I want this to be a collective decision of cabinet, and that's why I've sent it to cabinet. Ministers can give policy directions, but I believe that this must be a cabinet decision, because look, you're talking over $250 million in debt. The recklessness of my predecessor, I will not continue that recklessness.
It's very crucial also when it comes to the issues of revenue assurance, especially also that's been run through the industry and the things that need to be done. You promised to re-register SIMs.
Yes.
What happened?
The LI is ready. It's part of the work we're doing. So you see, again, I'm making sure that I'm meticulous in what I do.
Give us the timeline.
So first quarter next year, we will run it out. Okay. We are currently at PPA. We are currently at the Public Procurement Authority doing the procurement of the service provider to do the SIM registration. We've drafted the LI. The LI is going to be laid before Parliament, because, again, there must be a proper legal basis for what we're doing. Okay. Already there's been testings, there's been all kinds of things done by the regulator. Yes.
What are we doing with the re-registration?
We're not doing a re-registration. We're doing a SIM registration. Okay. You see, you re-register something that was previously registered.
But we registered at L.
No. You didn't do any. You didn't do any registration. You didn't do any registration. The former minister just wasted everybody's time.
Oh, I went through. I'm talking my person.
I'm saying, yeah, she wasted your time.
Biometrics.
Listen, the government of Ghana says that we have one single source of truth for national identity, NIA, the National Identity Register, held by the National Identification Authority, the Ghana card that we hold. That's the single source of truth. The registrations that were purported to have been done under Eslawusu and the NPP did not cross-reference the biometrics they took from you against that database.
They didn't sync them?
Nothing was of that nature was done. She was fighting Kenatefa. Battle of Clash of Egos.
Okay, how is this going to work then?
So now we have sat down with the Minister for Interior and his head of agency, Yaira Koku, at NIA. We've worked out the integration between the telcos, the regulator, the NCA, and the NIA. And that's why I'm saying that, look, majority of Ghanaians will not have to queue. Because what we're going to do is, we're now taking, we've tried to pick up from the telcos, all the biometrics they collected. It was sitting in databases scattered all over the places. We've picked those databases and we're now cleaning them up and cross-referencing them with the NIA in the back end. So for about 80% of that has been done. We will be able to identify and say that, okay, your fingerprints you submitted at LWAC, where you say you went to, we've picked it from your service provider, we've cross-referenced it against what you gave to NIA, and we see that they match. So then it means that since there's a match, there's no problem with yours. We'll send you a prompt to authenticate that that number is yours, and we'll register it for you. For those that there is no match, the same way you book an appointment for passport services or visa services, you will book an appointment at your service provider and go, so you won't have a crowd of people lining up and queuing up there for 3 days and end. No, you have an appointment, you go, your details are taken, and it is done.
What's the rationale for digitalization? Why do we need to...
You need to deal with fraud. Look, we're having several instances where people are using SIM cards for all kinds of things that are illegal. And that's why we're not just doing the SIM reg, we're doing the SIM reg along with a second policy directive called the Central Equipment Identity Register. So now when you register your SIM, your phone is also going to be registered. Every phone has a unique IMEI. So the IMEI of your phone is synced to your SIM card. So when your number is flagged, today, the cost of mobile money fraud is 10 Ghana cedi. That's the cost of doing mobile money fraud. Because if your number is reported today to us and we block that SIM card, it costs 10 cedis to get a new SIM card. They just go and get a new SIM card. But if we now begin to block the SIM card and the phone that's associated with that, it increases the cost of doing that.
But we're in Ghana, people buy off-the-shelf phones. So it's not like as
if the phone's IMEI is not on, if you bring it into the country and it is not registered on our system, it will not.
You sure that's going to work?
It works everywhere.
Why do you need a special purpose vehicle for that?
What special purpose vehicle?
You said there's going to be an entity that's going to do that.
We're doing that at the regulator. All of this is going to sit with the regulator.
Okay.
The regulator has service providers who are providing the service, but it's owned by the regulator. Okay. That's the difference between us and the previous administration. The previous administration gave it to private companies to do it. No. Whatever anybody does It's for the regulator. The NCA owns the data and holds the data.
It's at their behest. They would
Absolutely. The NCA is contracted. They will manage the entire system.
Just about a month or two, 3 ago, there was all this concern about the, is it amendment to the cybersecurity law? There's a bill, etc. What's the whole intent?
Okay, so when I took over the ministry, I realized that some of the legislation...
All I knew was that they said you will not allow me to do TikTok videos.
That's not true. That's not true. You know, what people have done is they've taken the bills, the draft bills that we've done, put them in AI tools and say, generate a response for me. I mean, if you're asking AI tools to generate interpretation of legislation, you end up with all the misinformation that people are putting up. And that's the reason why one of the new legislation we are bringing is a misinformation and disinformation bill, so that people are careful the kind of information that they put out. You cannot just sit there and peddle untruths. Look, I keep saying that legislations are not Mills and Boons novels. You don't read them like that. They're pieces of law. And some of the things people are screaming about are not new provisions. They're already in the existing act. We are strengthening the act. And look, we are being transparent. We've done a zero draft. It's never happened before in Ghana. Quote me anywhere. No ministry has done a zero draft and put it out publicly and said, we want public inputs. Most times, public inputs are only sought after the ministry has completed its work in secrecy, gone to cabinet and gotten cabinet approval, and it gets to parliament. It is parliament that asks people for public memos. This is the first time a ministry is opening itself up and saying, because we have nothing to hide, because we want public input. So my point is simple. If you think there's a provision in the legislation that zero drafts, submit your input. This weekend, in fact, starting from tomorrow, the ministry with all the law firms that are working on the 15 pieces of legislation, we're working on 15 pieces of legislation, it's not one, 15 new pieces of legislation. All the law firms, all the technocrats from the 15 agencies, and the ministry itself are all going to be in a residential meeting for 3 days to take into consideration all the inputs that have been made. We've received over 300 inputs across all the legislation. We're going to consider all of them, insert those that add and strengthen our legislation, and then publish the new draft as well before we take it to cabinet. So people should join the process. And again, I keep saying that I understand some of the reactions. People are not used to that kind of governance. But I believe, as a young Ghanaian who's been given an opportunity to serve under a visionary leader, that these are the kinds of things that participatory democracy must be about.
So, for example, in this amendment bill, if you say that, for example, in Clause 4AB, empowers the authority to establish standards for certifying the security of innovative products, artificial intelligence, cloud technology, quantum computing, big data, Internet of Things, blockchain-based technology, any other emerging technology. What do you mean?
How can you have technology without standards? In the US, where AI is, you say that's the birthplace of innovation in artificial intelligence, the CEO of OpenAI went before Congress and told Congress that we need the US Congress to pass legislation to regulate artificial intelligence, because right now it's growing so fast that we are scared. The CEO of OpenAI. So why should we sit here in Ghana? When people say, oh, Zamjord is stifling innovation in Ghana. What innovation do you have here that the US doesn't have? Yet those who are your AI tools you are using today to do your own innovation are based on what other people in the US and in China have done. In China and the US and the EU, they have standards for innovation in artificial intelligence. And then you say that here in Ghana, oh, it should be the Wild West. There should be no standards. Anybody at all should do anything. Then when people start using AI to create fake avatars of Roland and publish Roland doing something that can end your marriage.
There was when the president was fighting the...
Yes. Then Roland will now call on the same ministry and say, why have you allowed people to use AI for anything? No. We are not going to stifle innovation, but innovation must be responsible. With more power comes more responsibility. So artificial intelligence gives you more power, more computing power. We must make sure that that power is used responsibly. If you have nothing nefarious, if you have nothing sinister, you have nothing whatsoever to fear from regulation.
where you charge fees, etc.?
There are fees charged everywhere. Fees and charges. That's why Parliament has a Fees and Charges Act.
That is amended.
That is amended every year. Okay. Every service. So you see, that's what I'm saying, that for many of our Gen Zs who are now getting to understand the governance system because we are opening up to them, many of them don't know that there's a fees and charges, and that for government services there's fees and charges. So they see fees and say, hey, some judge is charging fees. Tell me which agency does not charge fees.
All right. Now let's come to your foundation. I wish I had enough time to be able to pull it, but let's come to your foundation. I know that you're doing something big with it. You're even putting together concepts, etc. But we're also going to have. But tell me, your foundation, how has it gone so far?
Oh, it's been fantastic. I mean, the foundation started in 2022, so they've done some fantastic work in the area of human capacity building, education, healthcare, and they've touched a lot of lives. We've been able to touch our people's lives, both in Ningo Pram and outside of Ningo Pram. We've intervened in a number of instances where people have had needs. And so we're excited, really excited that the foundation is growing from year on year. I mean, infrastructure, capacity building, and all of those things are being done. And we keep pushing and pushing, and we'll continue to push. Last year, I said to the foundation that I believe, I'm a man of faith. I'm very deeply connected to my faith. And I said to them that I wanted us to raise...
pastor at
No, I'm an elder, not a pastor. I'm an elder in the church, but I believe that.
Are you refuting the title of a pastor?
No, you don't claim something that you're not. Else, I will be misinforming the public.
That is fine.
Yes,
misinformation. Okay,
so
that is fine.
So the point is, we've come to that place where I said to them that, look, I believe that I am where I am and where we've got into by the sheer grace of God and His hand upon our life, and for me, I believe that Ningo Pram is a blessed land, and I want to raise an altar every year to invoke the power and blessings of God upon the land. And so that's really what we've done. And so last year, we did the first Ningo Pram in worship, where we brought together leading gospel artists from across the country and within the constituency and had them join us to lift prayer and praise. We had... Prophet Nanase Opokusa Akodi of Porter City. Porter City is in the constituency. I call him my local principality and power, Prophet Nanase Akodi. And he came and led prayer. Bishop Raymond Akwa was there to lead prayer for the country and for the land. And people may have thought I was just political. Some judge was doing that in the lead up to the election. But no, it's a yearly thing we will do. And so this year, we're back again. We have Noah Ayin, and we are giving opportunity to local people. We have Noah Ayin from the constituency, Nimate Impe, we've got Echoes of Praise, we've got Beta Tete, Doris Abua, and David Nartey from the constituency. And then you've got MOG Music, you've got Joe Metal, you've got Team Eternity, you've got Kofi Pepra, Sissy Chum, you've got Perez Music, all joining us to lift praise and worship to the Almighty God on the 5th. And now it's a standard thing. On the 5th, every 5th of December, Farmers Day in the evening, we would have our friends join us to lead praise and worship. Minister Paulo and all will join us. So yes, that's really what we're doing this Friday from 5 p.m. From 5 p.m. we'll have our friends join us to lift praise and worship to God Almighty. So yes, this Friday, the second edition of the Ningo Pram and worship will be live, and we'll go on with it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Now let's watch this.
This is our moment to gather in one spirit for a night where the presence of God fills the air and every voice rises in worship. As Jata Foundation presents Ningo Pram in worship. One stage, one purpose, one voice. Ministering live on stage is Ghana's finest gospel giants, Sissy Chum, Team Eternity, MOG, Joe Metal, Minister Paulo, Perez Music, PSA Esther, and Kofi Owusu Prepra. Venue, Anglican School Park, Park, Pram. Date Friday, December 5th, 2025. Time 5 p.m. prompt. Come early, come ready, and come expectant. This event is proudly brought to you by Jata Foundation and under the auspices of the MP of Ningo Pram, Honorable Sam George. Media partners TV3, Onya TV, Channel 1 TV, and Wezo TV. Ningo Pram in worship. This is more than an event, it's an encounter you don't want to miss.
And it's this Friday. Perez Music is here as well. And so you have Emoji and him as well.
Yeah, there's Perez. I mean, Perez Music is one of the people whose ministry has been a big blessing to me as an individual. I mean, his songs have spoken to me, especially because I'm a Gandangwe boy, and some of the songs he sings, you know, at times in my most difficult moments, I have tapped into the anointing on his ministry, and it's come through for me.
Fantastic. Yeah, how excited are you?
Sing. How excited
are you to
I'm actually super elated. Like, I mean, last year I was supposed to be there, but unfortunately it was just the date of my wedding, so there were a lot of pressure going on, so I couldn't join. So this year I'm super excited to be called upon to join the amazing set of ministers to be able to be a blessing to the people of Ningo Pram. And I want to say a very big thank you, and I pray for God's blessing for Honorable, because it's not everybody who remembers their God when they are lifted. And when lifting comes and you still remember who your source is and decide to constantly give reverence and appreciation to your God, and also encourage the people in your community to know that, listen, I'm here because Jesus made it possible. I think it's an amazing thing, and I pray that God continue to bless you.
Amen.
And definitely it's going to be an amazing event on that day.
So who else and what else will be on the bill? Who else will be part of this, and what else will be on the bill?
Well, we're going to have time in prayer. I know that Reverend Markway is joining us as well to pray with us. PJ Markway. We have Papa will definitely be there. Nanase Opokusa Kodia will be there to lift prayer, because you see, we don't just worship and praise God. We also lift prayer for the country. We pray for the peace of the nation. We pray for the peace and prosperity of our country, for the president and all who govern with him, the judiciary, the executive, the legislature. We lift prayer for them. And so it's going to be a time of praise, prayer, and worship. And people will get the opportunity to connect again and reconnect to the source of it all, God.
Who else has to join beyond those in the constituency? What will be your encouragement to them?
I mean, make time. It's also it's almost the end of the year, and definitely God has been good. And this is an opportunity for you, if you live in a community, to come tap into look at the ministers that are coming. Definitely there's going to be a dense presence of God in the place. So I believe that you should make time and be there. If you are in the community or in its environs, please make time and come. And let's join this selfless move, to pray for the federals of our country, and see what the Lord has in store for us for the coming year.
Okay, what's the venue again?
The Anglican School Park in Pram. And we've got people coming from Accra, from Tema, who are coming in, people are asking if we can provide buses. We're looking at all of that. But let me just say a big thank you as well to the Media General family and Channel 1 and Ways On. You've been with us. Last year you were with us. This year you're supporting us, because there's also going to be live. Last year was live on your social channels and on the channel itself. This year we're also getting it broadcast live for those who may not be able to get in there. So a very big thank you to Media General, big thank you to Channel 1 and to Ways on TV, and to everyone who's standing with us in prayer and worship. We need to pray and lift praise up for our country.
Yeah, we're talking worship, Jata Foundation. People are still sending messages on policy. Somebody is a librarian. He says that you should consider ECOWAS passport in the registration.
Well, the LI is looking at that. We're going to have, you know, when you travel to some countries, they give you tourist SIM cards. In Ghana today, you don't have that. That's part of what the LI is fixing. So when you come in as an ECOWAS citizen or even a foreigner, you have a 90-day SIM card that is activated for you with your passport and is valid for only 90 days. After that, it's disconnected. But the person should come and let us praise and worship whilst we talk policy.
Yeah, and it's at the Anglican School Park.
Yes, 5 p.m. And we're going to start live 5 p.m. Yes, in Pram Pram.
As well, and it's this Friday, 5 p.m. Make sure you join.
It's a holiday, so people should come and enjoy.
Okay. Yeah,
yes,
so
you know.
Call to worship. Ningo Pram Pram in worship.
Yes.
It's going to take place 5 p.m. this Friday. It's a holiday as well, I'm told.
Yes, it's Farmers Day.
Farmers Day.
So, yeah.
All right. I wish you all the best.
And we're looking forward to seeing you there. You should be there. Come, let's lift prayer and praise.
I'll be marking a register.
Enjoyment for you.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have a couple more, but please make sure that while you're there, we'll also tell you that we have some few who are dedicating their day today. So are we doing some birthdays or we're closing? Let's do some 3 or 4, 5 before we close. Thanks to the presence of some George. So call to worship. So Kezia, call to worship for you because it's your birthday. Happy birthday to you, Kezia. And it's from the New Day team. And then Mami Ejewa Sante. God's blessings, manifold blessings to you. Happy birthday, Mami Ejewa. Sergeant Stella Nana Hammond, Beauty. Happy birthday to you. You're with the Ghana Police Service. Francis Golomeke, happy birthday from your wife and children and family. Also, you celebrate your birthday. Catkis George Kofi Atiga is wishing this one. And then Pastor Edward Guagbe, former colleagues of United Bank for Ghana, staff of APSA Central Securities Unit, legal and retail team, and staff of Avi Consol. They are wishing you happy birthday. Happy birthday to you, Pastor. Selena Tamenta of Accra High School, happy birthday to you. Giorgio Poku Boateng, happy birthday to you as well. And then also Dr. Maki J, CEO of New Life Homeopathic Hospital, happy birthday. Okay, so that'll be it for now. Thank you all for joining the stream. So far, 1,700 people. We've loved it. Make sure that that number or those numbers translate to the attendance at the Anglican School Park this Friday, 5 p.m. Call to worship, Ningo Pram Pram, organized by the Jata Foundation, courtesy St. George as well, and the family or the wife. Bye-bye. Thank you for joining us. Same time tomorrow. We'll be here. Bye.